The warmth of his hand in mine felt like an anchor, a steadfast promise against the unpredictable currents of life. We had built a world together carefully, brick by brick, of shared laughter, whispered secrets, and unwavering support I believed in, forever. A concept not of naive fantasy, but of deliberate choice and mutual dedication that was our foundation. Or so I thought our days were filled with a comfortable rhythm, a dance of routine and spontaneity that suited us perfectly. Waking up next to him, seeing the first light kiss his face, hearing his low morning mumble, a simple joy that grounded me. I loved our quiet evenings, cooking side by side, discussing our days, our dreams, our plans for the future. Everything seemed so clear, so perfect. A picture of domestic bliss, painted with vibrant hues of affection and trust. I never once questioned the authenticity of his gaze, the sincerity of his words, the depth of his commitment to me and to us. That absolute certainty was perhaps my greatest vulnerability, my Achilles heel completely unguarded and exposed. Then came the subtle shifts, almost imperceptible at first, like a whisper, carried on a distant breeze that you dismiss as your imagination. He started staying out later, sometimes just a little, sometimes much later than usual. His explanations were always reasonable: projects at work, urgent deadlines, a sudden need for drinks with colleagues after a particularly stressful day. I accepted them without a second thought, because why wouldn't I? Trust was the very air we breathed. Our relationship was built on it. But a tiny seed of unease was planted, a microscopic doubt that slowly began to sprout in the fertile ground of my subconscious. I found myself checking his phone more often, though I never found anything incriminating. A quick glance at the lock screen, a flick through recent calls, nothing out of the ordinary. Yet the feeling persisted, a cold knot forming in my stomach that defied logical explanation. He became more secretive with his phone, always face down, always in his pocket, always taking calls in another room or stepping outside for a moment. The once easy flow of our conversations began to feel strained, as if there were words unspoken, thoughts hidden beneath a placid surface. His eyes, once so open and inviting, now seemed to hold a flicker of something I couldn't quite decipher. A guardedness, a distance, a shadow I couldn't touch or name. I tried to talk to him about it, to express my vague anxieties, but he would brush them off with a dismissive wave, a quick kiss, a reassurance that I was overthinking things, that work was just demanding more of him lately, and that he loved me more than anything. Those words, once so comforting, now tasted like ash on my tongue, leaving a bitter residue of doubt and confusion. The truth has a cruel way of revealing itself, often in the most mundane and unexpected moments. For me, it was a forgotten phone, a simple device left on the kitchen counter as he rushed out the door for what he called an early meeting. The screen lit up with a notification, a message from someone whose name I didn't recognize. A feminine name. It simply read, "Are you coming soon? I miss you." My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror and anticipation. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone, a cold dread washing over me. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew I was invading his privacy. But an instinct, primal and desperate, compelled me to unlock it. The password was our anniversary date. A cruel irony. I navigated to the messaging app, and there it was. An entire conversation. A secret life laid bare before my eyes. A tapestry of lies woven with threads of deceit and betrayal. Pictures shared, intimate messages, playful banter, declarations of affection. a parallel universe existing just beneath the surface of our life together. My world shattered into a million pieces, the sound deafening in its silence. The air left my lungs, and I slumped to the floor. The phone still clutched in my hand, the images burning into my retina, the words searing themselves into my memory. It was as if a physical blow had been struck to my chest, leaving me breathless and broken. When he returned hours later, oblivious to the catastrophe that had unfolded in his absence, I was still there on the floor, surrounded by the fragments of our shared future, the phone still in my hand, my face undoubtedly stained with dried tears and swollen with grief. He saw me. He saw the phone. He saw the raw agony etched on my face, and his own face drained of all color. A silent acknowledgement of his guilt filled the room, a heavy, suffocating presence. There was no need for explanations, no room for denial. The evidence was irrefutable, undeniable. The truth stood stark and ugly between us, a gaping chasm that swallowed all our years of love and trust. I couldn't speak. The words were trapped in my throat, choked by a torrent of pain and rage. I just pointed to the phone, my hand shaking uncontrollably. He tried to approach me, to touch me, to offer some pathetic excuse, but I recoiled as if from fire. The mere thought of his touch made my skin crawl with revulsion. The betrayal was so deep, so profound, it poisoned everything we had ever been. His apologies were hollow, his explanations, flimsy attempts to rationalize the unforgivable. How could he have done this? How could he have looked me in the eye day after day, whispering sweet nothings while living a double life? The man I loved, the man I trusted implicitly, was a stranger, a charade, a cruel deception. And I, the naive fool, had believed every word, every gesture, every fake promise. The confrontation was a blur of tears and accusations, a whirlwind of pain that tore through our home, leaving devastation in its wake. I remember his face twisted with a mixture of shame and despair. But even that couldn't assuage the searing agony in my own heart. His remorse felt too little too late. Too self-serving, the days and weeks that followed were an unbearable hell, a purgatory of grief and confusion. The house felt cold, empty. Despite his continued presence, the silence between us was deafening, filled with unspoken accusations and the echoes of broken trust. I walked through our shared spaces as if in a dream, a nightmare. Really, the vibrant colors of our life together had faded to a dull monochrome. Everything was tainted, everything was compromised, every memory now filtered through the lens of his betrayal. I questioned everything. I questioned myself. Was I not enough? Was I blind? Was I foolish to trust so completely? The self-doubt was a relentless tormentor, whispering insidious suggestions into my ear, tearing at the fabric of my self-worth. I lost my appetite. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by endless nights, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every conversation, searching for clues I had missed, signs I had ignored. The pain was a physical weight pressing down on me, suffocating me, making it hard to breathe. I tried to understand his motives, to grasp the why behind his actions. But there was no logic, no reason that could justify such a profound breach of faith, such a casual disregard for another person's heart. He begged for forgiveness. He promised to change. He swore it would never happen again. His pleas were desperate, his eyes filled with what looked like genuine sorrow. But how could I believe him? How could I ever trust him again? Once trust is shattered, it is not easily mended. The cracks remain visible, a constant reminder of the fragility of promises and the destructive power of deceit. I thought about all our plans, our future, our dreams, and they all dissolved into nothingness, leaving behind a gaping void. I tried to imagine a path forward with him to reconstruct our relationship from the rubble, but the foundation was gone. The ground beneath us had given way, leaving only emptiness. Eventually, a quiet strength began to emerge from the depths of my despair. It was a slow, painful process, like a fragile shoot pushing through hardened earth. But it was there, a spark of resilience, a flicker of self-preservation. I realized that his actions, though devastating, did not define me. They defined him. I was not responsible for his choices. I was not to blame for his infidelity. My worth was not tied to his faithfulness. I began to see that staying in a relationship built on such a colossal lie would only perpetuate my suffering, would only allow the wound to fester. I deserved more. I deserved honesty. I deserved respect. I deserved a love that was true and unwavering, not conditional and deceitful. The decision to leave was agonizing. It felt like tearing a part of myself away, a limb amputated from my very being. But it was also liberating, a release from the chains of uncertainty and betrayal. I packed my bags, not with anger, but with a quiet resolve, a newfound determination to reclaim my life, to heal, to find my own path to happiness, independent of him and his broken promises. Walking away was one of the hardest things I have ever done, but it was also the most empowering. It was an act of self-love, a declaration that I would not settle for anything less than what I truly deserved. The pain still lingers, a dull ache that reminds me of what was lost. But it is no longer the overwhelming force it once was. It has transformed into a quiet teacher, a poignant reminder of the lessons learned about trust, about boundaries, about the importance of listening to my own intuition, and about the resilience of the human spirit. Now I am slowly rebuilding my life brick by brick, this time with a stronger foundation of self-awareness and self-respect. I am learning to trust myself again, to listen to that quiet voice within me that first whispered warnings. I am rediscovering who I am outside of a relationship, outside of the identity of a betrayed partner. I am embracing new experiences, meeting new people, allowing myself to feel joy and hope. Again, the journey is far from over. Healing is not a linear path. It has its ups and downs, its moments of doubt, and its moments of profound clarity, but I am moving forward one step at a time. The scar remains a testament to a battle fought and survived, but it no longer defines my landscape. It is a part of my story, a chapter that closed, allowing a new one to begin. A chapter filled with the promise of genuine connection, of authentic love, of a future built on honesty and mutual respect. I believe in love still, but now I understand that true love is not just about passion or comfort. It is about integrity, about transparency, about choosing to honor and cherish another person's heart every single day. And that is the kind of love I will seek. And that is the kind of love I know I deserve. The experience taught me that sometimes the end of one path is simply the beginning of another. A path towards a stronger, more resilient, more authentic me. And for that unexpected painful gift, I find a strange sort of gratitude even in the wreckage of what once was. Because sometimes you have to lose everything to truly find yourself.